Hello beautiful people, welcome back to another tutorial. If you're new here, my name is Dee. Today I will be teaching you how to make this easy granny square top. It's super easy and you can style it in two ways. I'm going to attach another picture so you can decide which look you want to go with. You can let me know which one is your favorite in the comment section below. And with that being said, let's get into the tutorial. And please don't forget to subscribe. This top is made of 5 granny squares and 4 triangles. I have my 3 triangles completed and I have my 4 squares done. So we're going to do the 5th one and then do the 4th one of the triangles together. All right, let's get started. We'll start by making a granny square. So get the color that you want to use. You can also choose to use one color. You don't need to use 2 different colors. So we're going to start with a magic ring. Insert a hook and pull up a loop. Chain 2, which does not count as a stitch. Yarn over, and in this same ring you're going to make 3 double crochets. Chain 2, make 3 more double crochets in that same ring. Chain 2, make 3 more double crochets in that same ring. Chain 2, and for the 4th time in that same ring you're going to make 3 more double crochets. So we now have 4 sets of 3 double crochets all in the same ring. After that you're going to pull this strand to close the ring like so, and to complete the row you're going to chain 2 and slip stitch on top of the first double crochet. So slip stitch, chain 1, cut the yarn, leaving a long tail. Okay, so we now have 4 spaces of 2 chains. Okay, and those are going to be the corners of our square. So from where we left off, that is where we're going to insert our hook, and as we do that we're going to work over these strands. So insert your hook and get your second color. With your second color, make a slip knot. Insert your hook in that chain 2 space. So attach your yarn right there. Chain 2, which does not count as a stitch. Then in that same space, you're going to make 3 double crochets. That's 1, 2, 3. Chain 2. Then again in that same space, you're going to make 3 more double crochets. And as you can see, we are working over these strands. And by doing this, we won't have to weave in a whole bunch of tails later. And if you want a more detailed tutorial on how to do this, I will leave a link in the description box so you can watch a more detailed tutorial. Okay, so we now have 3 double crochets, chain 2, 3 double crochets all in the same space. Chain 1, and in the next chain 2 space you are going to make 3 double crochets. Chain 2 and make 3 more double crochets in that same space. Okay, should have this. Chain 1, and in the next chain 2 space you're going to make 3 double crochets, chain 2, and make 3 more double crochets all in the same space, chain 1, and the last chain 2 space we're going to do the same thing we've done here. So insert your hook and make 3 double crochets in that chain 2 space, chain 2, make 3 more double crochets all in that same space, then chain 1, and now you can let go of these strands and slip stitch on top of the first double crochet, and that's the end of row 2. Chain 1 and cut, leaving a long tail. So remember to weave this first tail in. Let me do it real quick. All right, we still have these hanging, so we're going to weave them in more properly as we work on our next row. So we're going to use the first color again. Make a slip knot and attach your new color right from where you left off. Chain 2, which does not count as a stitch, and in this first space we're going to make 3 double crochets, two, 3, chain 1, working over these new strands, you're going to make a shell in the next chain 2 space. Chain 1, and in the next chain 1 space you're going to insert your hook under the worked over yarn from the previous row. So insert your hook under those strands as you carry the new ones along, and make 3 double crochets in that space. Like I said earlier, I have a more detailed tutorial on how to do this, so if you want to check it out, I'll have the link in the description box below. So the next chain 2 space gets a shell of 3 double crochets, chain 2, 3 double crochets all in that same space. Okay, this is what you should have. Can pull it a little bit to make sure everything is secured. Chain 1, the next chain 1 space gets 3 double crochets going under the worked over strands from the previous row. Chain 1. Next we can now let go of the strands because they've gotten short. So in the next chain 2 space, make a shell of 3 double crochets, chain 2, 3 more double crochets in the same space. chain 1, make 3 double crochets in the next space. Like we have a strand right here, so go under those strands from previous row, don't forget. And the last is a chain 2 space where we're going to make 3 double crochets, chain 2, 3 doubles all in the same space, chain 1 and slip stitch on top of the first stitch. And this is the row that we're going to continue repeating until we have our desired length. I'm going to show you the measurements here shortly after we make the square. Okay, so I'm going to show you guys one more time how to do this, because we're going to repeat row 3 and 4. So chain 2, turn your work, make 3 double crochets in this same space, chain 1, and in the next chain 2 space you're going to make a shell of 3 double crochets, chain 2, 3 double crochets in the same space, chain 1, the next space gets 3 double crochets, chain 1, 3 double crochets in the next space, chain 1, make a shell, alright, the next space is going to get a cluster of 3 double crochets, chain 1, and in the next space we have these strands, so make sure you go under the strands and make your 3 double crochets, chain 1, and when you get to the chain 2 space, don't worry about the strands, we only pick them up while working in the chain 1 spaces. So make your shell of 3 double crochets, chain 2, 3 double crochets in that same space, chain 1, and continue with the pattern. So when you get to the end, chain 1 and slip stitch, chain 1. I will be changing colors, and then I'm going to repeat the same pattern. So this is how your square should be looking, and at this point you can get your scissors and simply cut off these strands. Just clip them off, and on your next row you're going to start from here and carry this strand along and do the same thing we did earlier, and you're going to repeat that until you have your desired length. So I'll show you guys one of my completed square. So each of my square is going to be about 5 inches long. Okay, like that is how wide I want my square to be. You're going to take your measurement from your one rib cage to another, and the number you get, you're going to divide it by 3, because around the bust we're going to need 3 squares for that part. So each of my squares is 5 inches, meaning the bust number I'm using for this is going to be 15. So if each of my square is measuring 5 inches, that means for 3 squares they will go all the way to 15 inches. Okay, you measure from your one rib cage to another, and the number you get, you divide it by 3. So mine is 15, and when you divide 15 by 3, when you divide 15 by 3, you get 5. So that's the 5 that I'm getting here on my square. Okay, so I hope I'm clear on that. So I'm going to repeat the pattern for 2 more rows, and then I will be back so we can make the triangle. I'm at the end of my row 6, and to complete the row I'm going to slip stitch, chain 1, and then cut off the yarn. Then this tail will have to be weaved in with your darning needle. So get your darning needle and weave in your end. To make the triangle, just like we did with the square, we're going to make a magic ring. Insert a hook and pull up a loop. Chain 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Then yarn over. In the ring, you're going to make 3 double crochets. Chain 2. Make 3 double crochets in the ring again. Chain 1. Then make 1 double crochet in the same ring, and after that pull the string to close the ring, and you should have something like this. So we have a chain of 4 here, which is going to count as a double crochet and a chain 1. Then we have 3 double crochets, we have a chain 2, 3 double crochets, chain 1, and 1 double crochet, all in the same ring. And that's the end of row 1. Row 2, I'm going to chain 1, cut the end because I'm changing colors, and on top of this very stitch I'm going to insert my hook, make a slip knot with my new color, attach it on top of that very first stitch, chain 1, and now as I work I'm going to be working over these 2 strands. So I'm going to chain this 1, 2, 3, and 4, then yarn over, and in this first chain 1 space we have below, we're going to make 3 double crochets, chain 1, and in the next chain 2 space we're going to make a shell of 3 double crochets, chain 2, make 3 more double crochets, all in the same space to complete the shell, chain 1, and you're going to skip the next 3, and in the next space you're going to make 3 double crochets, 1, 2, 3, chain 1, then your last stitch is going to go on top of the chain 3. Like so, chain 1, changing colors again. Now on top of this first stitch, I will insert my hook, make a slip knot, attach it right on top of that first stitch. I like to have my tail back like so. So chain 4, and in this first space you're going to make 3 double crochets. That's 1, 2, oh, I'm sorry, yarn over. Down here we have these strands that we need to carry along for this row. So insert your hook under those strands like we did with the square. Make your first 3 double crochets, chain 1, and then in the next chain 1 space, insert your hook under those strands and make 3 double crochets. Chain 1, then the next chain 2 space, you can pull this a little bit. The next chain 2 space gets a shell of 3 double crochets. Oops. Chain 2, 3 double crochets, all in the same space. Chain 1, make 3 double crochets in the next chain 1 space, making sure you go under the worked over strands from the previous row. Chain 1, and to complete the row you're going to make a double crochet on top of that last chain. Okay, there you have it. Chain 4, turn your work, make your first cluster of 3 double crochets in that first space. And you're basically repeating the same thing we've been doing. So you're repeating row 3 for this triangle. And again, to complete the row, make your last stitch on top of that first chain. Chain 1, pull tight. Then you can cut off these worked over strands and weave in the rest. So depending on how many rows you made for your square, you're going to take off the last 2 rows. Okay, so for me I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rows, but for my triangle I have 1, 2, 3, 4 rows, only 4 rows. So whatever number you make for your square, you're going to take off the last 2 rows and leave it smaller. Okay, so now we're going to join everything together. Okay, so this is how you want your squares to be aligned. I'm just going to show you guys how we need to align them, and then we shall be joining them. So this is what you need to have, okay? You need to have something like this. So in total you need 5 granny squares. So after that you're going to get your triangles, and these triangles are going to go to the sides like so. This will go over here. So I'm giving you a picture or a demonstration on how these will look. This is what we need to have. So we're going to join this part first, here and here, and then we shall join here and here, and then we shall do the triangles after we are done joining the squares together. So I'm simply going to do it like this, okay? Right sides facing each other. I'm going to use my darning needle. So I'm going to make a knot right here at the very beginning. If you know a better way on how to join granny squares, you can go ahead and use that method. You don't have to do it exactly like how I'm doing it if it's gonna be hard for you. All right, I'm now going to start joining from this corner to the next corner, to the chain 2 space. So I will insert my hook in the chain space. I'm basically going through the chains for both sides, then pull. Then I will insert my hook in the next chain space, because we had 2 chains in the in this corner. Okay, now on top of the next, this is the first double crochet, and on top of the first double crochet on the second square, I'm going to insert my darning needle and pull. And this is how I'm going to do it until I get to the end. I have a chain 1 here, and I'll insert my darning needle through that as well and secure it like so. And basically that's how I'm going to join all the squares. When you get to the chain 2 space, you're going to go through those 2 chains as well to complete the joining. Like so. Then now we need to secure this, so we're kind of going to tie a knot like so. This is the right side and this is the wrong side. So I'm going to cut the yarn. Alright, so we have joined the first 2 squares together, and I'm now going to join this one right on top of that one. So I'm going to repeat the same thing I just did here, and then after this I'll come I will join this here as well, and then I'll do the same thing with this. Okay, so I will be back once I'm done joining this one. All right, here I have attached the 3 squares. So next is these 2 squares that go to the sides. So basically it is the same thing we've been doing, but this time we're starting from the middle right here. There are many ways of joining squares, guys, so just use the method that you like to do it, that you like. If mine is not working for you. All right, I'm going to continue like this until I get right here where it stops, and then I will attach the other square. Then I will be back to show you guys how to attach the triangles. So this is how your work should look at this point. Okay, now you're going to make sure that every corner has a triangle. Okay, every corner gets a triangle like that. So now we're going to join them from this point all the way back to this point. We join from here all the way to this other side. So if you have a stitch marker, you can place it to the corner so that your work does not move. So right here we need to add a stitch marker. So I'm going to get my stitch marker and I'm going to place it right here, just securing it so it does not move so much. Get your darning needle. We have to join from the wrong side. Now I'm simply going to start joining. I will tie a knot. Then back in that same space, I'm going to insert my darning needle, like so. Then continue joining like how I did with the squares. All right, when you get to the stitch marker, remove the stitch marker and insert your hook in this space here. Then at the same time, go through the triangle and attach everything together. And now we have crossed over to this other side, and we're just going to continue joining the same way we've been doing. When you get to the end, simply tie a knot. Get your scissors and cut off the yarn. All right. that's what you will have. Now off to the next triangle, doing the same exact thing I just showed you guys. So let's join them, all of them together, and then I will be back once I'm done. All right, after joining everything together, this is how your work should be looking. So the last thing we're going to do is simply attach the straps that are going to be the straps will crisscross at the back, so make sure your strap is very long to go from this corner all the way to this corner and on the other corner as well. Okay, and you'll still have all these spaces that you can pull through your strap to make sure that it's all secured at the back. Okay, so I'm going to attach my yarn right here. I'm going to make a chain. I don't even know how many chains I'm gonna make, but I'm going to make it long enough. And once you're done with this chain, you're going to cut the yarn and reattach it on this side and make another chain. All right, so this is how your top should be looking. Let's turn it to the wrong side. So you're going to this strap is going to go through this first corner of the square like so. Then this one will go to the opposite side, making a crisscross at the back like so. And then you have all these spaces, the chain one spaces, to pull the strap through until you're comfortable with how tight it is. Then tie a knot. There you go. This is another way you can attach your strap. Instead of putting both straps on one square, you're going to put one strap on one square, on one corner of the square, and skip the next triangle and place the other strap in the next chain two space of the square that you have. So you simply make a slip knot and just do the same thing we did right there, and make a chain for as long as you want it to be. And this is how it's going to look. I really love it. I hope you feel the same way I feel about this top, guys. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Otherwise, thank you for watching. I will see you in my next tutorial. Bye bye.